Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're peeling back the layers on a pretty wild internet phenomenon. We're looking at how a catchy Indonesian meme song, something you'd honestly just instinctively tap your foot to, is actually a masterclass in how everyday people use digital culture to resist authority and reveal some really complex truths about power and class. Okay, let's dive into this. Ever since my beloved said to turn off the stove, I decided to stop cooking. Now that isn't a heartfelt romantic ballad. It's actually the central lyric of a bizarre viral jazz track called My Little Bolu Kaiton, or translated My Little Sticky Rice Cake. The crazy twist here? This entire song was generated from angry, sarcastic social media comments directed at a high-ranking government official. It's just a perfect example of how the internet can take collective frustration and spin it into an unavoidable toe-tapping sensation.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the viral meme anthem itself. Look at the energy, panic that sparked the anger, dive into the hidden transcripts behind the satire, and finally ask, can entertainment actually change reality?
Section 1, the viral meme anthem, a catchy jazz song with a biting political message.
The creation of this track is a brilliant display of low-effort, high-impact internet creativity. Basically, a social media account named vocalize_netizen simply scraped sarcastic comments from online discussion threads, stitched them all together, and fed them straight into an AI music generator. They slapped this audio over stitched-together news footage of Indonesia's energy minister, and boom, suddenly an algorithmically supercharged, personalized meme anthem was born.
But what makes this song so phenomenal is its grounded cultural language. It uses poetic terms like Kanda and Dinda, which are these romantic words for a beloved older brother and a sweetheart. By ironically framing the energy minister as the beloved older brother in a love song, the creators effortlessly convey deep public dissatisfaction. Pair that with jokes baba baba, cheesy middle-aged dad jokes that pun the minister's name, Bahlil, into Buahlil, meaning fruit, and you have an incredibly sophisticated linguistic mockery. It's brilliant.
Moving on to Section 2, Energy Panic and Public Anger, from the Strait of Hormuz to the Indonesian kitchen. Now, this song didn't just appear out of thin air, right? It was triggered by a real terrifying crisis. In early 2026, global energy prices surged following a U.S.-Iran war that closed the Strait of Hormuz. By March, rumors of oil and gas shortages were sweeping rapidly across Indonesia. Living costs were visibly rising. Then, in April, the government introduced strict new ID registration rules for the subsidized 3-kilogram household LPG cylinders. This is the exact gas everyday citizens rely on to cook their meals. The panic was immediate, and it was palpable. And this new policy? It was a massive hurdle for the public. The requirement for national ID verification to access these subsidies exposed a severe urban-rural digital divide. The bitter irony here is that the rural residents who most desperately needed these tabunga smelin, the green gas cylinders, were the least familiar with digital systems. They were the most terrified of data leaks and scams. So instead of a safety net, ordinary people felt they were handed an immense, terrifying burden.
Enter the inciting incident. Amidst all this panic, Energy Minister Bahlil told panicked citizens to simply turn off the stove once the food is cooked, and he actually accused those who were stockpiling gas of having other motives. Rather than calming the public down, these completely out-of-touch remarks were like literally pouring gasoline on a fire. It triggered widespread, intense public anger.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the outrage was amplified by a severe sense of relative deprivation. You see, Bahlil started out as a grassroots underdog. He was born in Maluku, came from a poor background, and was a former bus driver who pulled himself out of poverty. But now he's the ultimate political business elite. He's the energy minister, party chairman, and wrapped up in controversies over a fast-tracked university doctorate. The public felt their former grassroots hero was now lecturing them from the absolute top of the elite hierarchy.
Which brings us to Section 3, Tai Chi and Hidden Transcripts, the art of laughing it off.
Honestly, Bahlil is arguably the most memeable minister in the cabinet right now, and his PR strategy is pure political Tai Chi. Faced with AI ballet videos of himself and a jazz meme song, his response is simply to laugh it off. By publicly claiming he's already used to being mocked, he completely absorbs the attack. He smiles, and he refuses to give netizens the direct angry reaction they so clearly want. It's an incredibly effective way to diffuse direct confrontation.
So, we have to ask why citizens resort to memes in the first place. Well, Indonesian society is trapped in a double bind.
Culturally, there is rukun, a deeply embedded pressure that prioritizes social harmony and actively avoids direct confrontation. But legally, there's the UUITEA. That's a strict defamation law that harshly punishes online criticism of officials. Caught between cultural norms on one side and the threat of jail time on the other, a sarcastic meme song becomes the only safe, indirect gray zone for political pushback.
And this brilliantly illustrates a fascinating concept by political anthropologist James C. Scott: hidden transcripts. The idea is that subordinate groups rarely speak their minds openly in front of power. Instead, they create gossip, jokes, and folk songs to express their true anger and sarcasm. In today's digital age, My Little Bolu Kaitan is exactly this. It's a modern-day, algorithmically distributed hidden transcript. It's public enough to go wildly viral, but indirect enough to avoid the legal crosshairs.
Finally, Section 4, entertainment cannot change reality when anger becomes a playlist. Okay, here is the somber reality of how protest actually dissipates in the digital age. It's a four-step process. Step 1, a controversial policy sparks real, justified anger. Step 2, due to those cultural and legal fears we talked about, that anger transforms into indirect internet sarcasm. Step 3, that sarcasm gets packaged into a highly entertaining viral song. And ultimately, in Step 4, the emotional energy that might have fueled real collective action simply dissipates. Turning political rage into a playlist acts as a pressure release valve, which, at the end of the day, actually benefits those in power.
We really have to contrast this safe, decentralized meme warfare with actual direct action. Look back at the events of 2025. You had the dark Indonesia movements and citizens bravely raising one-piece pirate flags in silent dissent. But under a climate of intimidation and self-censorship, those risky, direct protests were quickly pushed underground. The meme song survives precisely because it doesn't fundamentally threaten the existing order the way those direct actions did.
So, the reality here is pretty bittersweet. The satire definitely achieved something vital. The algorithm kept the minister's out-of-touch remarks from just quietly disappearing into the 24-hour news cycle. But look at the actual results. Bahlil remains the Minister of Energy. He remains the chairman of his party. The underlying system, and those gas policies that terrified the public, well, they remain entirely unchanged. Which leaves us with a provocative question to wrap things up. When the loudest, most unified political expression in a society becomes a catchy jazz song about gas cylinders, does anything actually change? It's an absolutely brilliant display of cultural resistance for sure, but it highlights a very difficult road for real, direct political dialogue. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you want to dive deeper into this topic, please check out the link to the English full text in the description box below. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.